Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we'll look at how Denise Boggs responded to some very serious claims made in Rachel Lamb's most recent show. Rachel stood up for Pete and said Denise was lying. Now, Denise has spoken up to give her opinion, which includes important details that call Rachel's story into question. First, let's look at one of the main points of contention, Debbie Linhart's claimed exoneration. Rachel said on her show that Pete and his wife were cleared after meeting with forensic child psychologist Debbie Linhart. Denise strongly disagrees with this. She makes it clear that there was a session, but Debbie made it clear that she couldn't do a full evaluation because Pete wasn't cooperating and would only answer a few straight questions. In a private talk, Debbie is said to have told Denise that more sessions were needed to come to a decision. What did Denise say? Validation for professionals. Pete is found not guilty. The accusations against Pete and his wife were continued, and on August 20th, 2021, they met with Debbie Linhart, LSC, a forensic child psychologist, to do so. To make sure the process followed professional standards, Pete's wife asked Denise Boggs if she could be there during the interview or if Debbie wanted to talk to Pete by herself. Debbie told Denise that she was sure she wanted to talk to both Pete and his wife at the same time. After this choice was made, Denise, Debbie, Pete, and his wife all got together, and Debbie did a full and in-depth interview with them. During the session, Debbie asked a lot of detailed questions, and Pete and his wife gave full and honest answers, showing that they were willing to work together and handle this properly. During the meeting, Debbie said that none of this would hold up in court, and that she thought the whole thing was just a big family mess caused by years of competition, jealousy, and not getting along. When the meeting was over, Denise walked Debbie to her car and they talked. When Denise walked in, she told Pete and his wife that Pete was not guilty. Did you say those words? Without a doubt not. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, how could someone clear someone of something so bad in just one session? Yes, and the issue was that it went on for a long time because Debbie would ask questions and Rachel would answer them. Debbie kept trying to get Pete to answer her questions, but that didn't work out. That was the talk when we got to the car. She said, I wasn't even able to give a full evaluation because he didn't really answer one question himself, she said. She told them all I can't do anything afterwards. When I went back inside, they were obviously very upset because they didn't know what this would mean. What does this mean? It made me worry about them because there's no conclusion here at all. I guess I was telling them, I know this is hard, but you need to understand that there will need to be another or maybe two more of these in order to settle this. I was just trying to make them aware that this wasn't the only thing that was going on. Of course, they're all upset and stressed about what they just went through, but it wasn't the end by any means. Denise confirms what you heard. Debbie told her that Rachel made it hard for her to do a full study because Rachel answered most of the questions instead of letting Pete do it. Rachel said in her podcast that she texted her dad right away to let him know that Pete had been found not guilty. Denise was shocked to learn that Pete's wife had texted Marcus Lamb to say that Pete was not guilty. It was easy for the Lamb family to trust you because you loved them, and Marcus did too. Yes, and yes, we knew the wife was upset, which is why she was nervous and asking questions during the session. But I had no idea that when I tried to calm them down a bit and let them know what was going to happen, she was thinking, oh, everything's fine, and then she texts Marcus. I didn't know she had texts, and I stood there with them both until they were ready to leave and told them, now, nothing was settled here, nothing, I said it again. In fact, I didn't know the text had been sent until I read this. That's right, you didn't know any of that. I didn't know that either. This is where the cover-up is. Can you see that? Okay, here's the lie. Marcus says that everything is clear on her own. According to Denise, she didn't know about these texts and was firm with Pete and his wife that they hadn't given her permission to read them. The texts may have made people feel better, but they were based on a mistake or false account of what Debbie Linhart found. Denise says that this misunderstanding was a big part of how false information spread in the family. Denise says that Rachel texted her dad to tell her to stop the investigation because he had been told that Pete was not guilty. This wasn't true though, and it turned out to be what Rachel did to stop the probes. Pete's actions after the lesson are also very important. Denise says Pete kept asking her for written proof that she was innocent even after she made it clear that she didn't have the power to do so. Denise remembers that he pressed her up until the day of Marcus Lamb's funeral, which she thought was very rude given the time. Pete even told me I should put it on business paper, which was a ridiculous idea. I said no because I knew it was wrong and not true. This is what Denise said about it. Mark and Joni then made plans for Denise to fly to Dallas to work on a way to get better. When you were here last, MS Denise, you told me that Pete kept coming to you 3 times to ask, "Can you clear me up?" Correct me if I'm wrong. If Pete was found not guilty, why would he keep asking you that? I see what you mean. That's right, I understand. So he would ask me over and over because he wasn't found not guilty. I kept telling Pete, you need to meet with MS, Debbie Linhart, who is a qualified professional counselor, when you get back. I'm not. Even more, he said, well, if you put it on business letterhead, it will count. Right, I told him I couldn't do it, and that wouldn't work either. I don't have a license, no, that's what he really said, MS. Denise, he said, but if you put it on business letterhead, it might work, which was not true at all. Would you say that he asked you to take part in a lie? I understand. Those are just my thoughts. After that, I had one more thing to say. I dropped it. That wasn't possible, I told him. Yes, I did say you would have to come back. He replied, no, that was very hard. And I'm not going to do that hard session again. He did use that word though, didn't he? He said, I'm not going to answer those painful questions again. Yes, okay, I get that it was hard for him. Rachel is having a tough time, but now everyone is in pain. Yes, because no one has been found not guilty, since there has been no permission, because the right thing should have been done with it. Could you explain to me why Pete would bother you over and over again when you know you can't clear his name? Why doesn't he just go to the right person and get his name cleared? Right on. Yes, I know it doesn't make sense because by the 3rd time, I told you I already knew. I can't. Miss Denise, where were you the 3rd time? Probably the last time. Where were you at the time? Yes, this is the last time. He had, and it was after the service. I went to Dallas to be there for the service. He then pulled me away and I asked, okay, do you mean the same day as the funeral? Do you mean that the funeral just ended and it's now an hour later? Yes. And he wants to know? I don't remember how long it was. It looks like I was riding with them in their car. Okay, yes. Also, I don't remember. You think it was the same day though? Yes, it was the same day. The same day. That's the most important thing. And ask, why don't you give it? I told them I couldn't. I said it again, I can't. I do not have a license. As I already told you, the only way to clear this up would be to meet up with MS, Debbie Linhart again, since she was the one who first started asking questions. And the story would have to go on. Okay, after 38 months, Denise's worrisome change. The actions of Denise Boggs adds to this troubling story. By sharing private information about her clients, Denise not only broke secrecy rules, but she also skewed the story by changing her story over time. If Denise really thought Pete had done something wrong, why would she go to Dallas to help the family get along again? The things she did at the time show that she didn't think anyone was doing anything wrong, and her decision to talk about the disturbing details 38 months later seems more motivated by getting back at Daystar after their relationship ended than by a genuine desire for justice. There was no lie. It's clear what the facts are. Marcus and Joni were honest about everything. Pete has been honest and helpful the whole time, going above and beyond to deal with these false allegations. The truth comes out in Jonathan, Susie, Denise, and Debbie's stories, which keep changing and are at odds with each other. This whole situation is based on lies, trickery, and getting back at someone. The truth is clear. There was no lie. And this whole story is a terrible exaggeration of the truth. What Susie said to Julie Royce in her last words backs up everything we've been saying. Pete had nothing to do with this. It's not about letting their daughter go free. It's about going after Joni, putting Daystar down, and trying to unsee her. It's never been about truth or safety. It's always been about power and control. Also, I didn't know that Marcus's wife had texted him to say that Pete was no longer guilty. So now I'm trying over and over to get them to come back. Marcus thinks, oh, that makes sense, so that would even explain why I get a call later telling me to stop everything. Don't do anything else. Okay, get it. I had no idea. Yes, I didn't know about the text to Marcus until today. It's also interesting that Jonathan and Susie didn't know. For this reason, we now know that Marcus and Joni were giving us fake information. That's why they hit so hard. He has been cleared. Now, I don't understand why you would think that someone could be cleared in just one meeting. There is one more meeting. From that point of view, it doesn't make sense. They were told this though, so that's clear. Hence what they said wasn't a lie since I had already called it a lie. It wasn't a lie though. Still, they didn't want anything to do with this essay about the child and the event at the beach. Marcus and Joni didn't really want this to happen. The day of the beach, they said it wasn't going to happen. This story shows how important it is to be open, responsible, and tell the truth. The testimony of Denise puts new light on what happened and makes it clear that more research needs to be done and the Lamb family needs to get along again. What do you think about this tense situation? Write your answer in the box below. Some of the missing pieces of this cover-up story have been found thanks to Rachel's podcast comment. Thanks for seeing it. If you thought this movie was interesting, please like, share, and subscribe to keep up with how the story is going.